Franchising. It's a common conception that it's often seen in any form of media entertainment factor, the likes of a franchise of films, TV shows and games that span, multiple genres and different forms and aspects. But it's also the case that there is one other form of franchising that can happen that's not in the realm of media entertainment, though the topic today, there is a bit of element to that. That's in the form of the physical form of merchandising. Products that seen in all form of variations and that can take on the likes of some being like Transformers, Ninja Turtles, Lego, Mattel, Hasbro, and many other items and stuff in particular. But there is one aspect that has done it all, and is the quote of "you can be anything" that's plastered on a lot of their products. As today, in the first of a two-part focused double feature review of movies, we're delving into the world of plastic with a doll that has done it all, and that is with the global phenomenon of Barbie. Now, of course, guys, this doll has been around for well over 60 plus years, with the character having learned to become anything you can put your mind to it. Besides, according to the historian of Barbie's, a job in business and finance or community or social care services. She's done doctor stuff, but that kind of things, and probably more risque forms, but not getting to how that works. In the case, she did apparently have like a showgirl burlesque one doll from about 15 years ago in 2009. And even dealt with forms of disabilities, and even now becoming a superhero or supervillain, with a range of Barbies crossing over with the Cape Crusader for his 85th anniversary, which saw a form of Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy versions. But we're not delving into the realm of the doll toy itself, but instead we're talking on the world of her film career. And to say it's a small one is quite the understatement. As of writing and recording this review, this has been a total of 44 total Barbie movies, with 43 of them being animated movies, with the most recent releasing back in March of this year. But we're not going to delve into that one in particular for the time being. Maybe down the line, if I reach a certain sub goal, and if interested, the other person that has a special bit of discussion in this episode will want to maybe join me for that. Who knows? We'll have to see. But instead, we're talking on the big screen film tank that is simply entitled Barbie. Now, of course, this film was defying all odds, became the film to help revive cinema in a lull of a summer box office from last year, and was in no small part to its appeal, its star power, and its once-in-a-rarity event that has become known as Barbenheimer, where it released on the same day as Christopher Nolan's big epic biographical film of Oppenheimer, which is the second part of this double feature film, which you can check out down below in the description or in the annotation above. And today, I'm here, as well as a special few thoughts from someone very important to me in particular, and ask the question of, is this film showing that life in plastic is fantastic, or is it going to be, something to put back on the shelf? Well, I could say that I had my worries that this film was not going to be, suited for me, but I actually came out, a welcoming appeal of something that had a lot of love for the character, with such heart, charm, and humor placed throughout. And I believe the same way was the thought from the important person as well. And I'll be delving into my thoughts as well as theirs in this film today.
Come on, Barbie, let's go party.
Now, it's a proven case that I've mentioned the aspect the likes of the character of Barbie has the concept of you can be anything, and said the likes of this project with any Barbie film and shows can really be anything. And of course, the other previous animated films with the famous figure, we've seen the likes of roles like princess, rock star, big sister, parent, pet owner, owner of Life in the Dream House.
Hey, life in the dream house! Oh yeah, life in the dream house!
Mermaid, Queen, and many more aspects across the 44 films. So the likes of having one of those concepts of many of the choices can come from the world of Barbie is anyone's guess as to how this could have turned out. But where this is where the writing team and directing duo of Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach came in, alongside the big star power of Margot Robbie, to create a unique tale that has, the appeal for many, and also has the element of feeling like a story for the imagination of young women everywhere, and can inspire a lot of women in particular, and a lot of men too as well, and what this doll would find themselves up into. And I think this works well in the form of the plot summary that was presented to us for this film. Then the plot goes as such. Barbie and Ken are having the time of their lives in the colorful and seemingly perfect world of Barbie Land. However, when something unexpected starts happening to the blonde beauty, they soon end up on a journey into the real world, but will soon discover the joys and perils that will come from living amongst the humans. So the concept idea about the film's narrative of blending the fantasy world of Barbie Land and the aspects of the real world to see that things are a lot different than how it is in that colorful landscape, to the mixed appeal of our own reality, can be really something intriguing, and it helps to open our eyes to the viewer's mindset about the perspective of women that in Barbie Land, the women do all the big powerful jobs like doctors, politicians, professors, culinaries, writers, and so much more. And for the likes of the Kens and Alan, they seem to be more of an unknown element. It's kind of the same in the lore about Kens for the last 60 plus years that we don't know too much in them either. And it's a case instance where, the things them going to the real world and discover the truth and learn different things from each of their perspectives is something very deep and thought-provoking, and I think it is tackled sort of very well in this movie. Granted, there's one issue I'd probably have with said film, is the emphasis about like how much of the marketing kind of emphasized about going to the real world, and I felt like it was going to be there for a good chunk of the film and then return to the finale because maybe Barbie Land was falling apart or something like that. But surprisingly, they don't spend a lot of time in the real world in particular. Rewatching it a little while ago, they only spent about like half an hour in the real world before the rest is in Barbie Land for like a good 75% of the movie. And I get the idea of the focus on the place, the iconic doll, but maybe giving a little more time in the real world might have helped a little more, but in all sense, it's not a massive detrimental effect on the narrative, and I think the film is good in that department and works well to make you think, provide entertainment for all of it too. So the score wise on the story aspect, I'm going to give an 8 to an 8.5. It works in that regards, just some small nitpicks.
Hi Barbie!
Hi, Ken.
Okay, to get a little bit of a context rundown for this section, if you've seen the movie, you know that it's a bit difficult with this confusing aesthetic, that in the world of Barbie Land, nearly all the women are named Barbie and all the men are almost named Ken. And it will case that a lot of them will become confusing as to which ones I'm talking about. So by giving the titles they were kind of providing this film, and in case I'm only going to really focus on a select few from Barbie Land, mainly about 3 or 4 in particular, and then a few from the real world to folks that has a presence and get a bit of a screen time. Because if I said I'm going to talk about every single Barbie and Ken, it would be to wonder which ones I'm talking about, and I'll be here for about 3 hours. So to clear up all of that, but anyways, there was quite a massive stacked cast in this movie, and you know, there's some big names to be recognized, some that many may not know or may have forgotten about, but I will delve into some of their worlds and onto ours, and let's get all mixed up and let's talk about these icons. So let's first talk about the one that is the center of it all, the doll that can be anything, and that is of course with Barbie. Or in this particular version, the one that's played by Margot Robbie, of stereotypical Barbie. So like this film, I feel would have all come down to the chosen choice of the main lead, as it's been through a few choices with different studios as well. And the first initial choice was Amy Schumer. Don't know why Sony was trying to basically pull a Spider-Verse movie shit stuff aesthetic on it. Not the Spider-Verse anime movies, but the, you know, the Sonyverse stuff where they wanted the film to fail. I don't know in some regards. But it became the others that were then considered over time, with the second one being Anne Hathaway, which it was not a bad pick, and another was Gal Gadot when it moved to Warner Bros, which back then maybe sure, but it's a bit more of a mixed appeal to people now, but I'm not getting into that. And where we have the final choice then with Margot Robbie, I think they really nailed the title role perfectly. It struck the perfect sensation of the casting. It's great, really great star power. It fits the role, respecting it, and also has a great message. And I do think that they made the character that much more appealing from its cast, because sometimes a main lead can make or break a film. You can have a good film but a bad character, or a bad film with a good character. You get the idea. And sometimes, you know, it's personally she is a standout with bringing some good humor, heart, and focused mannerisms of Barbie from the imagination of young girls and kids and translate it to the real world with great enthusiasm. Sure, there's some aspects that can feel a little forced or not work properly, but the film does make a joke on it and highlight some things counterintuitive, which can have a mixed opinion from others, but in all sense, I think overall she helped to sell the film and become the massive success of this day as one of the highlights of the cast, which is saying a lot for a massive star lineup of this movie. Of course, if there's any other character that people would be aware that they would associate with Barbie, it has to be the love-struck, long-time, on and off partner of Ken, and that is of course with the casting of Ryan Gosling as the main lead. Now, in particular, this was a discussion of mixed opinion when they first cast this Hollywood superstar, because the people thought that he was a bit too old or too much of an odd choice for the role, and there was many other choices for that character. But I think over time, people became much more of an appealing to the choice, and personally, I appreciate the casting, because alongside Robbie's Barbie, Gosling is the other big standout of this movie, from the personality, the development he goes through, and just the approach of his comedy, with some of it just his comedic charm that he exudes the film, trying to win the affection of Barbie, and also the conflict with the other Kens for their affection. Though there's kind of some slight undertones about the, you know, the whole thing about the sexuality of Ken and the other Kens in the land, which is a common theory amongst a lot of people over the last 60 plus years of the doll. But it's a case that there's a lot to love about this character. Some bits you can question his approach to, but you can't deny that he has some moves, which a little more on that later. Some good comedic form, and to me personally was a fun and strong highlight of the characters for the Avengers in Barbie Land and in the real world. And hopefully, if there's a likes of a possible sequel with this cast and group back again, I would love to see more of this Ken, all the other Kens, and his true Kenergy. So in most cases, as I mentioned at the start of this section, there's a lot of characters in this movie named Barbie and Ken, and while the likes of the other Kens inside the main one is less of an issue to discuss on, there's at least one other one I can give from the Barbie side, and that's of course that helps with the assistance of the narrative, and that's the one known as Weird generic Barbie. This is the Barbie that you see a lot, you know, if you have a young child in the house that, you know, you give a doll, they'll like, you know, cut up the hair, mess it up, or like draw on the doll kind of thing. That's essentially translated into a full version. And it's a lot different to the ones in the messed up hair, the odd outfits, the abstract aesthetics, and a bit delusional, but in all sense she seems to be sane. Anyway, the likes of this Barbie is that she helps the main focus Barbie discovering about the reason why she's having experiencing strange things, like saying odds about death and why her feet are now touching fully on the ground. And it leads her on the questions to the real world to find the answers. In most cases, it's really all she has to offer is kind of a bit more like the exposition, pushing the narrative along and help with building that with the refuge later. I think she's alright, man, with presence. Sure, it's not like over the top oddly weird, but you know, it's a fine balance. Maybe a little bit more would have worked, but you know, I think it's a fine enough addition to the cast, and I think it makes sense like that, you know, someone down the line you had like a Barbie that looked like this. There is, however, one other character in the land of dolls that's a little bit different to all of them, and there's one other version of said character, as there's only one, and this is with the addition of long forgotten best friend to Ken of Alan, which is displayed by Michael Cera. Weird Barbie's made by Kate McKinnon, of course. So the likes of this character is such an obscure aspect that it was a one-off edition of a doll back from the 70s, and his former best friend to help Ken following Barbie's new BF that I don't think appears in the film. I think it was like kind of an army general one or something. Has not made an appearance since, and I thought initially that he was going to be a little throwaway cameo of the legacy of Barbie characters from the past, known or forgotten, but it was surprising that Alan does like some form of presence, mainly more in the second half of the movie, and just very level of entertainment and comedy. Sure, he's just more of a cameo at the beginning, but you know, he gets more presence. I like what they do with him, the relevancy he has to the plot. I do though he has to see returns of this character in the future, in the case of the range of dolls in the real world, as well as maybe a possible sequel we see more of him to provide more entertainment. But for what it's worth, they work well for him with this project. Now, heading out of Barbie Land, we're also into the real world, and we're talking on the first of the real world editions, and this of course starts with Gloria. This is played by America Ferrera. So Gloria is an employee of the company Mattel, and the mother of the other characters we will talk on, which is Sasha, who's played by Arna Greenblatt, who is the owner of the doll that the main Barbie is based on. And this may sound confusing, but just go with it. And in some sense, the reason for the change of Barbie's attitude and outcome and why she has to go to the real world for in particular. In all the things, I think the performance of America Ferrera is not bad, and a decent performance overall. It's just a case that I feel like near the end, they kind of underuse her a little bit. They kind of sideline her a little bit after she gets her big moment, which is like her big speech she gives to all the Barbies and the outcasts after the whole trouble in Barbie Land goes down. But then after that, it kind of feels like she doesn't have much of a massive bigger presence, and it kind of feels like her daughter takes over a little bit. She does a strong performance overall, but it helps a fair bit in the middle, and then kind of reduced more near the end. But I think, you know, since she has her moments, would appeal a bit more to the end if she appeared more aspect, but you can't always balance it out properly. But she does well for her performance. And as for the other additions that I mentioned already, is of course Gloria's daughter of Sasha, that's played by Arna Greenblatt. The likes of this character is kind of not one to play with dolls anymore, and she likes Barbie is a negative stereotype for women in the recent form of the industry and all that, in the sense of talking the likes of feminism, really that form of things, but soon gets tangled up in the adventure with her mom and Barbie of getting back to Barbie Land and seeing things are a lot different from when she left. And while she seems a bit against the whole thing for a good part of it all, she does help out more in the end, take over from her mom most cases when trouble in Barbie Land happens, and starts to turn around in the end with a new perspective, even if it's just a little bit. The likes of Sasha is a little hit or miss to me, but I think that in the end of the film she's a likable performance, even with a little bit of a lack of screen presence, kind of more in the case near the second half that she appears in. There's one thing I do see, there's like certain reason to name her Sasha, as it's the name of another doll from another competitor that are known for their passion for fashion. I think her three friends that are uncredited as just like the school friends are apparently named Yasmin, Jade, and Chloe, so you might know who I'm talking about. So I wonder if this is supposed to be a jab, but I cannot tell. Anyways, I have gone a little off focus here, but I think our performance at the end is pretty good. It gets a little used to, but you know, it's, you know, a little bit of development, but it works all the same. And the last of the focal characters I'll give a bit of discussion to is with the essential villain of the film, if you can call him that, and that's the CEO of Mattel, that's played by Will Ferrell. So the likes of his character will focus on making profits and bringing massive amount of success, and then he learns about, like, you know, Barbie has left Barbie Land and he wants to make it everything he can to get her back there before everything crumbles down, or else, you know, he'll lose profits. So in this case, this character is really just there to have a form of a villain role, but even as a villain, they really do not do much. It's just kind of there as a placeholder villain and a bit more of a goofball. But, you know, that's what you get Will Ferrell doing his thing. Sure, it could have been better, but it's just a scapegoat for the real undertone of a kind of more of a different villain in this movie, but I'm not going to delve into it too much, let you find out for yourself. The only discussion I have is that one of the theories I had was that initially this Will Ferrell businessman is the same businessman from a certain other film made by Warner Bros. About toys come to life based on a massive product success, that also played a villain in that one that was like all about business. But I might be going too much into it, I'm probably thinking too much, but you know, Could have been better, but he's alright. So then wrapping up the case with all the rest of the other characters we can talk about with the Barbies and Kens of Barbie Land. But, you know, in a sense, they're alright. And I like the sense of building on the forms, like having the different careers and aspects done in different Barbies, so it's not all just the same one. And, you know, they fit the criteria and they have a mixed array in the process. Same can be said for the Kens and stuff like the sports and jobs they have associated with, which let's know for the process past 60 years, but in a sense, you can't be too harsh on all the other characters. They are named Barbie and Ken. I wish they kind of did a little bit more, but that's more my case. You know, I'm pretty sure if they do like a sequel or something like that, they could provide more of them with a bit more development, but that's more my own taste. We can see what happens in the sequel. But overall, I think the performance in this film is really well done, have a strong main focus lead and some decently good supporting cast. It's a perfect combination. No, it's not fully perfect, but it is a valid effort all the same. I'm sure the likes of this series could have a potential follow-up in some regard to develop some of these other characters, but I think what was presented here, I think it's fine enough. Just a few tweaks to improve the other additions. So character-wise, I'm going to give a score of an 8 to an 8.5.
Every night is Ghostman.
Every night.
So if there's one thing that with the debate was about how things were going to go for me, it was going to be the form of presentation that was going to be a focus of whether or not it will appeal to me or not. And the creation of the world of Barbie, you know, in particular, I have to say, really well made, providing the concept of those classic toy ranges that being more upscale and presented better with the detail and the likes of the dream houses, the convertibles and cars, the, you know, the pets, the accessories, and everything under the sun, to the point that the likes of stuff looking like it was filmed on the set when those adverts, you know, the one time about like the old classic kids adverts for like the toys, or like you have this massive big display piece and it's like, you know, it feels like it's built on that same set. Yeah, it's kind of like one of those ones. It's very well done to the attention to detail, and I have to say props to the whole production team for this whole aesthetic and capturing the look of the iconic set and ranges. The likes of the real world, well, I would be more critical of the whole real world aesthetic. It seems like a very basic setting, and it's in likes of one of the handful of states that's used in so many films, like, you know, New York, LA, Hawaii, all that sort of stuff. I think it works more here given the likes of the strong contrast from the bright pink colorful aesthetic of Barbie Land compared to the more toned down color palette and sometimes dreary approach to the real world of showing that we can live in a fantasy world, or let the colors be stripped away and show that the real world is not always that easy or perfect, and it takes a toll on a lot of people. And by the end of that, it was find that balance of color and purpose to find that aesthetic morph into the best of both worlds, and all the way I think they did a really great job on that blending well. And this also came in the form of the outfits and designs for the different Barbies, Kens, and other discontinued dolls of that world. And I want to say they really went all out in the look and aesthetic, but they feel like they just took the outfits from the doll ranges, upscaled them, and made them like actual real. And you know, just bursting with color and wonder and all the amazing level of references and concepts from like the 60 plus years work. And gotta say, props to the designers and the creatives on this team that should be very proud of the work and effort they put into it, because it came out as a sort of big success and they kind of work so well. And you know, in a sense, a few of them I would honestly wear, but you know, this is looking at me who has really no style most of the time. But yeah, I think it's done really well, and to score wise in the presentation, I'm gonna give it a 10. I just think Casey just really outdid themselves with this.
You guys ever think about dying?
So the next sections I'm going to keep brief, as I'll be delving into the likes of the writing for this movie next, and I think this is not bad in the way of the, you know, the writing story when it's focused on like the important elements and themes. It sort of works well with taking the important moments serious and not being the level of, you know, the quick jab reaction comments, you know, that some people have that aesthetic when it comes to certain situations like this to cope, but thankfully they mostly kept it straight. It does have its moments as well of comedic humor and comedy that work in some forms, you know, with the main leads, especially from Gosling and Margot Robbie now and again. And some I see the attempts of that can feel a little flat execution here and there, but it's not to level like eye-rolling or uncomfortably bad and not overly forced, but it could use a little more work or execute a little bit better, but it's only in as like some small minor elements. Some moments can feel a little bit off in the choice of, you know, comments or the use of some pop culture references, wondering if they were necessary, because I know a certain fan base got mad about a joke about one of the films being used. I think it's kind of a small jab on the whole thing, but overall it wasn't bad writing at all. It was not perfect either, but it comes to some jokes and stuff, it's a very valid effort with some slight tweaks to make it just a little more great. So writing, I'm going to give an 8 to an 8.5. Actually, no, an 8.5 instead. So the last two sections was a focus on my own score, and so talking on this section that in most cases I don't have a lot of perspective with proper opinion on, that's with the music of course. But calling me intrigued, but this album does have some really good tracks with different tones and appeal that were formed from both the original score and the soundtrack for both Mark Ronson and Andrew Wyatt, and it formed some really great backing music with some unique tracks and instrumentation of some of the other tracks in there as well. We're not going to hear talk about the actual score, but we're talking about the actual soundtrack aesthetic of this here, as there is a lot of big name musicians and they've got their songs in the film from the likes of Lizzo, Nicki Minaj, Ice Spice, Dua Lipa, Billie Eilish, Charlie XCX, and even Ryan Gosling himself. Some of them I find they appeal, like, Pink from Lizzo and Speed Drive from XCX, which has the same audio music from Hey Mickey, which is kind of alright. And then some that really are memorable and would listen to now and again, like Dance Night from Dua Lipa for the big party near the beginning of the film. What Was I Made For? A beautiful track that's a lot of meaning and, well, deserving of its award recognition for near the end of the film. Then, of course, the one that was the most excited for, and the best award show performance I've seen in a long time, and that's, of course, with Gosling's form of I'm Just Ken, as it hits the deep with the form of the full of energy that you kind of hate it. That sends so many parodies and covers of it. And in the sense of it get to a certain threshold goal, maybe like HUD subs or more, I might even do my own cover of it. Not gonna fully agree on it, but not gonna be a big song and dance, but maybe. Who knows? It's in a case that's probably the only issue I have with this soundtrack is it's missing one track, and that's of course the original song of Barbie Girl from the band of Aqua. And while they do have a version of it, it's one that's remixed version with Ice Spice and Nicki Minaj. It's a bit too much of a mumble rap song to me to really much appeal to it. I much prefer the original version from many years ago, but in the case with some lawsuit stuff and legal drama shit, so there's things with Mattel and Aqua, so I can't really probably guess why it's not in it. But it's only some minor issues and some that I would change, kind of ones that I appeal to, some that I hit or miss to, but in all sense, it's a strong soundtrack all the same. So score-wise in this one, I'm going to give a 8.5 to a 9. I think honestly it's a really good one, that one.
This Barbie is going to give her thoughts and opinions on the movie.
So before I move on to the critiques of this movie itself, I do want to at least give one more special segment to this review, and this is with the perspective and thoughts about the movie from someone else besides me, of course. You see, this film came out around the time of this one person's birthday, and I made it a day out for us to go and see it as they were looking forward to a whole lot, and it was a case that I asked if they would want to be part of this review when I make it like this, given her perspective, the whole ordeal, and her thoughts on the movie, and like what she got from it, as she very much enjoyed it from the past. Now, it's a case that they're not here at the moment, of course. In most cases, they would be a bit camera shy, but in all sense, I provide a rundown of their thoughts on the movie, and of course, as I keep my word and my promise to this, I want to read them out in particular, so I'll give this special Starlight birthday at Barbie's important thoughts and opinions on the film itself. From my perspective, the movie summed up the unifying trauma of being a woman alive today, and how from birth, there's a sort of doom that all women are pressured to accept from a young age of, I have to live the rest of my life with the knowledge that most men view me as a sex toy. I'm not afforded the same rights and privileges as men, but you think I have a lesser intellect because I'm a girl. I have to fit into this box, like these things, talk, walk, act, sit, eat this way. All for the sole purpose of appeasing to the male gaze. But in Barbie Land, girls can be anything, and it's an accepted truth. It makes me look back and wonder at one point I stopped playing with dolls as a kid and started thinking about how boys look at me. It goes into how little girls are socialized to be likable by men, and their number one goal later in life should be to be pretty. Love how the story overall is quite existential in its plot, but it's done in such a way that makes me happy to be alive. Everyone has a purpose, and it's painful to know that a lot of women lose their sense of purpose because it's socially ingrained into us that the most important thing in our lives should be to please men. But the Barbie movie gives a glimpse into an alternate world where such societal indoctrination doesn't exist, where women can do whatever they wish without having to worry about men trying to put them back into their place, and worrying whether they look good while doing it. The part about the Barbies dumbing themselves down to seduce the Kens was all too real as well. In the past, I sometimes subconsciously dumbed myself down so much to make some of my male peers like me more, as it's evident that a lot of men need that sense of power over women in order to feel masculine. And making a man feel masculine from my mere presence was something I played along with to get their romantic attention. I can understand why the damsel in distress trope can be appealing for guys anyway though. It would very likely make men feel needed, more masculine, and achieve a sense of purpose from a young age. We're exposed to narratives in which men are portrayed as protectors and heroes, while women are often depicted as in need of rescue, and also to mention that the damsel in distress trope can intersect with themes of vulnerability and femininity. Very well put. Looking back on this description and discussion here, I can really see what she means by her thoughts and opinions, because it really does give a clear perspective on the world as a society, that women thrive more in this world, whereas the Kens don't get told what they do and where they go or stay in this land, and are just there for the attention and affection of Barbie. It really is a striking contrast in our world and society, as with so much unsettling things and changes going on to the rights of women and how they can be selling their whole rights back a lot of time over the last little while and currently now in our world, that women are the sensitive, oppressed, or real, that to some they would only see the minds of the women are only seen as sex objects or tend to their man or bear children, when it should be the case that women can really do anything. They can be very smart, they can do whatever they put their minds to be like an artist, a designer in any field, award winner, an athlete, a political leader, and even to the likes of a possible president, other forms of cool things to see them achieve. Not just be this person that has to be this certain look to them, or they can't do this or they can't do that, because it gets tiring and I really feel it for them. And I hope for really better change soon enough. I know the important person, who I like to call Starlight here, is really someone that I can see do anything, and I've seen her grow into something amazing and talented and always beautiful with her work and design, art, and so much more, and I'm always proud of her continued progress, and will always enjoy seeing her grow over time with all of her progress and her work that she does or anything that she has interest in. I always find interesting, and as a case, since I want to see more over time, I want to be part of that from now into the far future, you know, when we live from this mortal world. I think she gave some really great insights in this movie, and probably a lot better than my ramblings, as you can probably tell, and maybe down the line, if she's interested, we can do more this again, like other films and shows if she's interested. But I think what she said here was really well done in opinions. It was really well and clear, and this Barbie is really important.
Note to the filmmakers, Margot Robbie is the wrong person to cast if you want to make this point.
So of course, like all my reviews as well, I'm going to give a section where I'm going to give a round of all the critiques and issues I have from each section, if I've scored them really sort of high or low in particular. And I'll give my thoughts on why in aspects. But don't worry, it's not going to be like Ben Shapiro's one where he did 3 45-minute videos calling this movie woke and his massive disapproval. So in the case, we'll start with story. Now this one is a little bit of just a nitpick, but it's probably a case of maybe it would have been nice to experience a little more in the real world outside of Barbie Land, because it feels like we spend the first half hour in Barbie Land, then set up the journey out there, and then Barbie and Ken arrive in LA. It goes a bit quick at first, it slows down, and then by the time Barbie meets Gloria and Sasha, they're heading back to Barbie Land. It feels like we could have added a little more to the real world setting and learned a little bit more before returning to Barbie the World in Disarray. Maybe there's a sequel, this could be seen more of like a lot more in that location, the real world and Barbie Land, kind of fair balanced mix, but I think this one aspect, this could have gotten a small bit more of a presence. Next, the case is just characters, is mainly down to the likes of some of them feeling a little like they have their moments and just end up on the sidelines, like with Gloria in her speech, and then after she helps a little with the Barbies in the end, but it's more a case for her daughter taking over more in that capacity. And like a placed in villain feels not that evil or well fleshed out, it's just more of a goofball, you know, like just, but maybe some of the other Barbies and Kens would have benefited by having more presence, but I think the likes of the two main leads kind of help elevate that a little bit more, and I think probably down the line you could probably use the other Barbies and Kens down the line somewhere, so hopefully some more improvement down the line. Next in the case is writing. This just comes down to some critiques of the elements of some comedic tones and jokes that could use a little bit more work and could have been executed just that slightly bit better. It's only in a small handful of points in the film, and the other is that some use of pop culture references and moments can feel a little bit off of unnecessarily needed, but you know, compared to other ones that I've critiqued the similar aspect about pop culture, this is a little less focused in the references overall, so that's a good thing. And lastly, just with the music, it just comes to the likes of the appeal of the songs, and some are more memorable than others to me, and some I wish was in place over others, like the aforementioned Aqua version of Barbie Girl over the mumble rap version that, you know, Nicki Minaj and Ice Spice went. I don't know if it is mumble rap, but it's kind of case just the kind of rap remix version of the Barbie Girl, which never much of an appeal to me. But I know there's just fans, and you know, everyone has their opinion and stuff, so it's not gonna be for everyone, but that's just my own aspects. But anyway, that's really all the critiques I have and compiled about this movie, so let's see how this all turned out overall.
Sublime!
So the close is all out. After some studio handovers, thankful casting changes to avoid disaster, and once-in-a-lifetime double feature event, the Barbie movie was something I was thinking I may get a bit of enjoyment out of, and, you know, because it's not fully intended my side of perspective, but I came out with that important person after it and was very pleasantly surprised in how well made and entertaining I found this whole film, and some of the deep meanings of the movie as well I got from it, and from the opinions of the very important special guests and their thoughts in this movie video, and just see that the doll really can be anything. And in the case of seeing this having a big significance for a mass demographic for many more years to come, where even the point it's being put into education for like English curriculum from where I'm from. Sure, it has its minor issues here and there, but I think from how it came together, it worked out that way, and I think it deserved its success in helping save the summer box office, provide something new, fresh, and colourful. If the case a sequel comes along in the future, I would not mind checking out as long as the people involved with this are back. And in case of side note, I do know there is a Barbie movie apparently in the works from Illumination, who also did the Mario movie last year, so maybe it could be good, but I know it's not Greta and Margot involved, but hopefully they'll get some good choice for it and not a disaster. But it's a case since if there is a sequel down the line, and I would love to be a case I can go with the same person I went with, in particular the star that I see as the Barbie to Mike N. But to give the overall scores now to round up here, the story I gave an 8 to an 8.5, characters an 8 to an 8.5, presentation a 10, writing an 8.5, and music 8.5 to a 9, giving the total score of 43 to 44.5 out of 50, or an 86 to an 89%. So a very strong solid A- to an A, I think, honestly. So well done to you, Barbie, and well done, Greta and Margot. But anyways, that's where I'm going to bring the end to this review, and I hope you enjoyed listening to my thoughts and rambles for this very pink movie, and I would like to know your own thoughts on this in particular if you have seen it. Did you like it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you feel indifferent about it, or were you disappointed with it and all? Let me know your all thoughts and your opinions on aspects of what you thought worked and didn't work down below in the comments. And if you'd like to see more reviews from me and much quicker, then simply like and subscribe, as I upload many new videos over time, and these reviews come out when I have the chance to write them and get opinions on. Sometimes they take a while, and I apologize for not getting them done like quick. Also, you can check out my playlist below of all the other playthroughs of reviews I've done already. But anyways, I'm gonna leave it there for now, and I'd like to thank also the very special guests for their thoughts and opinions in this as well, and love to have them more for reviews. But anyways, I'll leave it there for this moment. So I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I hope you all stay being wonderful people, have a great day every day, doing many great things, because of course you can do anything, and to keep being you because no one else can do what you do. I shall see you all in the next video and the next review. So take care, and I'll see you maybe in the second part of the double feature, or if this is part 2. I hope you enjoyed them. But take care.